All right. Hello, good morning. What is up to Liz? Nice to see you this morning here in the chat. Let me is around and we will be going. I don't think I'll be needing those currently. Okay. Welcome. For anyone who is new, if you do not know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. I stream at this time each week here on the Adafruit channel, working on stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you'll learn more about it at the main website for the project here, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that is designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. The way it works when you choose to use CircuitPython on these devices, you will plug them into your computer, usually with a USB cable. They show up like a thumb drive, a little storage volume. You can then edit a Python code file that is on that storage drive, and when you save it, the microcontroller will interpret and execute the Python code that is in that file. And the code itself can interface with whatever other hardware peripherals you hook up to your microcontroller, so you can have like RGB lights and motors and sensors and beepers and buzzers. Oh my. Pretty much any kind of little electronical doodad that you can imagine, you can hook up to a microcontroller and then use CircuitPython on the 662 of them on this page to control that peripheral, to read data from the sensors, to control the lights, to turn the motors, to do all the fun stuff. If you like CircuitPython and you would like to support it, one of the easiest ways is by purchasing hardware from Adafruit. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They make CircuitPython possible by paying a team of folks, including myself, to work on the project. I also try to always remember to mention, they also support other open source software initiatives. So even if CircuitPython is not your thing, if you are a person who likes open source software generally, they also pay people to work on Arduino drivers and other various bits and pieces of open source software that is all published under open source permissive licenses that lets you take the code, do what you want with it, which I certainly am biased, but I certainly think is very neat, very cool. So if you are like me and you also believe that this is a very cool thing that a company can do, and you would like to help support it, you can purchase hardware from them on their website, adafruit.com. I don't know for sure about product pick of the week, but if that is on later today at the usual time, I'm not for sure on that. There may be schedule change upcoming on that, so I don't know if that is at the normal time today or not. But perhaps later on today, and no matter when it does occur, JP's product pick. You can support Adafruit, get yourself some hardware at a steep discount during that live stream when it does pop up. I am jumping in today, working on the Learn Guide for the Teenage Engineering SP-1, which I think I talked about a bit last week as well. We were reviewing some of the code for this device, so this is a unreleased little stem player device. So I was unfamiliar with this term, but I have come to understand it's perhaps a more broad term within the music world. Back case to it here has got some glue on it, and I have left it in a relatively dusty environment with cats for a few weeks at this point, so it's looking a little worse for wear. But this device was a little unreleased piece of hardware. It was made as a collaboration between Teenage Engineering and some other brands. There were some issues with the partnership between the different companies and entities that were involved in that for one reason or another. After this device was manufactured, but before it was released, they parted ways. They stopped working together. This device ended up as sort of a fall through the cracks casualty of the end of that relationship. So it never actually came to market as it was originally intended to. It was manufactured back in, I believe, 2019. Never actually came to market like it was originally intended to. But somewhere along the way, it got the ones that got manufactured, I think, got rolled into bankruptcy proceedings or something like this, liquidation, something that wound up with them being available sort of on this secondary-ish market, not like used hardware secondary market. There's still As far as I can tell, they're still new. There's no original packaging or anything, so there's nothing that could prove that, really, I suppose. But they seem relatively unused. They seem to me like the ones that I got at least seem to me like they've probably just been sitting in a box since they were manufactured in 2019. And you can find them online if you search around for Teenage Engineering SP-1. I forget the exact name of the site where I got them, but I believe Republic was in the name. I don't know the exact name of it. I'd have to pull up the link, but you can find them. I think it was like $45 or $50, maybe $60, something like that for this device from that source, right? I imagine had it been sold as it was intended originally, it may have been more expensive. But that is what they are now. And they're out there, you can buy them, but there's basically no like real support for it, right? You buy the device, it has the firmware that was on it, from the factory, but you don't really get like an instruction booklet with it. If you search around online, you can find some scans of a sort of getting started type document that basically tells you how you can use it. But that's basically all you get at this point with it. It's not a fully supported thing. Teenage Engineering, the company who it seems designed it, has never, as far as I'm aware, never commented on it or anything. So it kind of got just lost to time and ended up becoming available. It's out there if you want to get it and play with it, but no official support, nothing like that. And so what I've been working on is bringing CircuitPython to this device. Let me check in on the chat here. Not my other Discord window wrong. Mine got lost in the mail. Something happened in the handoff between UPS and USPS, but they did reimburse you. Oh, that's good. I'm glad they reimbursed you. Yeah, I will say the shipping was a little weird, as I recall it as well. There was and I mean, this is certainly not the only thing that has ever done this to me, but this one did it most recently, and it was pretty prominent. It I think it shipped from California, maybe, but it did this thing where it was like, I got a notice that it was shipped, and then I got a tracking, and the tracking just said, like, we're waiting on it. We haven't received it. We'll let you know, or whatever. I forget, I forget the exact wording, but basically the tracking was like, waiting to receive this item, and it sat that way for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, and then like all of a sudden it showed up at my house. So I do think there is some weird shipping situation with them. I can't say as though I'm super duper terribly surprised, unfortunately, that some of them may have got lost in shipping, because it definitely felt like at least the tracking, there was some weird, wasn't really updating or was making progress without actually being tracked, or something like that was going on. But they did eventually make it, and it's an interesting little device. You know what it makes me think of is like the old school MP3 players. It makes me want to build an MP3 player, probably with a screen. This one has no screen, so you can't do any kind of like visual output. But yeah, pretty cool little device. So I'm just jumping in today on the stream, working on the guide right now. I'm in the teardown page, and so we're going through some pictures, and I'll be highlighting some chips and things here. We'll work on some pins and stuff as well. And so this will just kind of be a look over my shoulder while I work on that sort of stuff. I will grab this. Yeah, there are some things I could link to. Let me grab those links real fast. There's this page, and then there is this Reddit link with some photos as well. Yeah, probably this page is the most useful one. So yeah, so here's what I was talking about. There's like, you can get some sort of low res ish scanned copies of what seems like it would have been the instruction manual or the quick start or something user guide that would have come with this if it had gotten released. You could see like there was original packaging at some point. Did I make him just in little bubble wraps? And then they did eventually partner with a different company. They did eventually release a totally different device that looks different, that, as far as I'm aware, acts different. I don't actually know very much about the other one that ended up being released. But this has got a good timeline. I think this is what we'll drop in the one of these on this one, because it's sort of similar in nature as what I found on the Ting before. So this is like a timeline, like a forum post timeline of hardware, software, and instructions. So not the detailed teardown from the EP2350. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the EP2350 and this new guide because they're going to be structurally somewhat similar, and they're both teenage engineering devices. But they are obviously the key difference is the unreleased bit, right? Since this one's not actually regularly for sale. Information is more limited. Third-party resources are a bit more limited as well. I will say it's a bit harder to get into as well. They used glue on this one. Unlike the EP2350, this one back here, there was no glue inside this. It was super easy. Just pop a couple of screws and you're in. This one is only a couple of screws as well, but it was glued. It's glued also all around, kind of, honestly. So, back cover, I will actually probably have to. So I'll want to get this picture with the screws circled, but oh, I don't think I have that photo yet. I need to really put the back case back on, put the back cover back on to get that photo. I can do this photo for now, which I have of the back cover and the two screws off to the side. And then I could still circle the holes, I think. We'll do that. Most in focus. I think we'll go with second one of these two. Let's turn that. Yep. Got the link. Yes, totally. Let me put that here. Yeah, it's definitely not a good one to try and copy from just seeing the letters or whatever. It's LLL. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that site. LLLLLL. I never heard of that before, but let's see. Imp goes in this. Yeah. It's the particular angle of this photo does make this one not necessarily appear as a as a screw hole, but there's threading inside there. Add an awkward. We should probably shrink down before this. Otherwise, GIMP gets a little freaked out by the fact that there's kind of a lot of pixels. And yeah, if anyone else has questions or anything about the device or look at Python on it or anything else related, happy to answer the best that I can. It's like, I don't want to be doing this. What's going on here? Okay, there we go. I think it could have been because of the way I did select by color, probably was not. I know. That a little bit bolder still. Cover off. And what I'll do is make this a side 2. And there will be... I'll go back and get the photo of the back cover on. Put the highlights on that as well. And they'll both be here. And those will be the 2 photos for this. Back. Moved and 2. And I actually have the text here. Do I want to call this the upper left corner? Yeah, well, depends where you're looking at it, I guess. White square in the PCB. What do they call that? Trying to blank. What is the stuff top of the PCB? And the silk screen. Here, the top left corner. Back cover PCB up. There's a glue dot in the small white square on the PCB silk screen near the top left corner with the back cover removed and the PCB facing up. Near the play button as a red triangle icon. Front device. Also glue so a slightly less tacky glue coating the inside of the back cover. A small so I used a small flathead screwdriver. I think actually a spudger or something plastic would be ideal, a plastic pry thing from, you know, iFixit or cell phone repair kit type stuff. Small plastic. Actually, let's say use a small plastic prying instrument. Gently pry up back cover. Starting edge. The side plastic end cap. I used a small flat screwdriver. This has the scratches. Why don't we say a small plastic prying instrument would be best. Gently pry up the back cover, starting on the edge with the plastic end cap. We have small a lot. We don't really need small so many times. A plastic prying instrument. I used a flathead screwdriver. My device has the nicks and scratches to prove it. Okay. It's good, and then I'll get another shot with the back plate on and those screws circled. We should have a title for this, probably back. I called it panel in this, so I will try to keep it consistent actually. So I'll call this back panel, and then I'll go through and update. Here, the back panel. Okay, and we will probably just have two photos because this one does not have the gotcha of the little prongs that need to feed in correctly in order to put it back together. You can just stick it back on there to put it back together, I believe. PCB. Yeah. So this time we don't have any wires that are like super duper small and fragile. These are, not huge wires, but they don't feel particularly fragile like the speaker wires in the EP2350. There is the ribbon cable. But that's it. There's nothing that really feels like you're gonna break it just by like barely touching it. It is got more screws. And it is glued down. We might as well just make this a side too. And what I'll do is I have this photo. Actually, we'll end up using both of these. I have multiple copies of. Use this one, which shows the first two PCB screws removed. And then the third PCB screw is actually under the plastic end cap. Calling this piece here on the edge there. Here, what I'll do is grab this stuff. Okay. Oh, no. Here we go. Doesn't really matter, but it does kind of. Remember the right key. Scaled. Oh. Well, because I scaled that after. That looks like the footprint for the programming header. Ah, okay. So that could be maybe either what do they call that? JTAG one? Like the little 10? Yeah, it is, right? Okay. And then maybe these are SWD. I did hear somebody on the Discord told me, I was asking about the Pogo test points for the SWD pins, and somebody told me they were near the programming header, but I wasn't sure. This was also a week or two ago, and I hadn't taken the PCB out this far yet. I could only see this side of it at the time they told me that. I did see the photos elsewhere online. but I hadn't been in there, and so I wasn't sure which part was the programming. But that does kind of make sense. It looks like you could slot on that little header for the like J-Link type thing. I don't know if J-Link actually works with this device, but logos are probably, yeah. And then yeah, I think might be, yeah, I need to get it some or SWD. I mean, I need to get some PC Byte, get some Pogo little pusher doohickeys. It'd be nice to be able to have those to probe out something like this. I was in a spot at one point where, yeah, I can't get the link this way. Wait, what? Oh no, they fixed, or, oh no, okay, I'm in the Discord app. Okay, yeah, like from metros, basically. Some of the metros have this thing on there. You can main MC. Yeah, totally. NRF 52840 is definitely the main chip. It does. I will say it's a little bit awkward for compared to most of the CircuitPython devices that have that. It does not. It's not connected to the antenna, so it can't do any Bluetooth. In fact, I had to take soft device out of the build for it. There are two more works screws that are visible. Let's say two more torque screws holding the PCB in place that become visible once the back panel is removed. There's also an additional, let's say there is also a third screw underneath the side plastic cap. The first two are here. These. It would be nice to solder that thing. I wonder, there may not be room to close it back up. It is very tight. It's definitely seems, which I think a bunch of the teenage engineering devices are like this actually. It's very like aluminum body, thin iPhone-esque physical design. That's what it reminds me of, like made very thin. Let's see. This is the SP-1. I don't know if I ever finished the thought, but yeah, having SWD available would be nice. Theoretically, we could replace the bootloader. That's one thing I didn't do, is I've just kept the bootloader that came programmed on it. It would be nice to have UF2, honestly, but I didn't mess with it, and because I didn't get SWD hooked up. And then the other thing would be is like, the way the watchdog on this is hooked up, there's and the watchdog is started by the bootloader. Since I didn't replace the bootloader, there's like a bit of a risk of getting it stuck where the watchdog is being fed, but you can't do anything else, or conversely, getting it stuck where the watchdog is not being fed and then it just reboots every 4 seconds. Although you can get back to the bootloader in that case, though, which is good. But the programming header would ruin the compactness, most likely wouldn't go back. Yeah. I'm not I will say also, I'm not sure how well it's going to stay together once I do put it all the way back together, because there was a fair amount of glue on stuff. The back plate had glue on it. Like I mentioned in the post up there, there was a little glue dot that sits in that square. I think it'll mostly hold, but I also would not be terribly shocked if like this pops back off or something. Because that was pretty much just glued down like underneath this end of it, and it was not like a rubbery glue. It's not just gonna re-glue itself or whatever. I'm not gonna stick any more glue in there. I mean, I guess I could like cyano, but I'm not gonna. Could do bodge wires instead of the header. That'd be cool. SP-1 PCB with 2 tension. So then the third one becomes visible here once you pop off what I'm calling that side plastic end cap, which is actually a two-parter. It's the end cap, which is this piece, and then has an inner plastic piece, which is basically the button pressers. I'm gonna go back and close some. Oops. Go. Like that circle seems awfully small. The third screw. One device with side plastic cap moved. Cap is glued. mostly in the corner near the white square, the play button, but realistically it's also like it's mostly there, but it is also everywhere else. Correctly. And on the other side. What I don't think I got was a picture of the front. Oh, the side cap was. Need to get this photo. Not sure which direction this goes. Because this could go either this way or the other way around this way. And there's 4 LEDs there, or there's 4 holes there, which match up with 4 LEDs that are visible through the holes in that other little plastic piece, which is also actually a piece that comes off. But there's definitely only 4. I don't really understand why there's a 5th hole poked in this. You know, what would have been sweet is if there was a reset button there. Is there a reset button there? Can you imagine if that was actually the reset button this whole time? I have been working under the belief that there just is not a reset button that is visible or accessible from the outside. I presume that one of the pogo pads might be reset. Nope. There's the 4 LEDs. And there does not appear to be any kind of button or anything next to it that would get pressed. By like sticking, I was thinking like, you know how some old devices especially, they have like you undo a paper clip or whatever and you can push it in a little hole and there'll be a reset button, but not appear to be the case on this one. So yeah, I don't know which. Oh, well actually you can tell which way this goes because of the. Yeah, okay. You can tell which way this goes because of the pictograms. Play button is up top, up there, and play button is the red one. No, I mean, I don't even think I'm going to mention the end, actually, because it's glued all the way along here. Actually, when I first took it off, I thought this end down here, there was more than the rest, because this is black, and the PCB, or the back plate, was also glued in this area. Up underneath, glued to this same black piece of plastic, honestly, I think. The same chunk here. But looking at it now, you can actually see there's all the way along that. And that looks like it was actually just cyanoacrylate, so maybe I could just glue that. But yeah, I think we won't bother. So there's third screw underneath the side. The end cap is glued all along the front side of the device. Plastic prying. Let's see. Inside the end cap is or let's say the end cap retains another plastic insert that acts as... Is there a more technical term for button presser? That... Ends the very small surface mount button larger satisfying. Okay, there's our 3 PCB screws. I think here we can do more pictures of the PCB. So in this one, I just added them as additionals in the columns. I think here I might just do big photos below. And I do have at the top of the page, actually, this one. I could do a gallery that includes some of the more close-up shots of each of the parts, each of the boards. We don't need to zoom in on the individual parts. That'll happen in the next page, on the pinouts page. I'll use these zoomed photos of each of the chips and all the parts and stuff, and then map, like I'll mark next to them which pins they are. Although a lot of them are, a lot of the buttons are not one-to-one on pins. They use analog and a resistor ladder. They're all about the same. Battery. Whoa. PCB back. I didn't shrink it. Back. Real this time. And PCB front, I think I'll show as well. I kind of see it from the other photos, but I will rotate it so it's the same orientation as this one. So this one has USB-C to the right. USB-C would be down here. I'm going to rotate it here. Pinch. Back. Front. I just happened to look back at the bodge wire thing as well, and I will mention I'm like very bad at soldering wires in general. I mean, realistically, I've gotten quite good at soldering like breadboard header, right? Whatever that is that 1/10 of an inch or something? I'm good at soldering headers into those holes, specifically at that spacing. Wires I can do to through hole as well, but when I'm trying to solder wires to other wires, or I'm trying to solder wires to touch points, I struggle quite a bit to get it done. I have my Feather Sense has wires now hanging off of it because I needed to get SWD. It was a miracle I managed to get them on there, and that they haven't broken off yet because there is like huge gap of a huge column gap of solder putting it together. The PC Byte is a little pricey, but I think it would really good for me just because I'm kind of bad at soldering that stuff. Or I need to maybe figure out some better, like I need to get more helping hands type stuff. Need to get some more stuff that can hold things for me. Battery. Oh, I didn't notice before one of those screws goes through the pivot point of this. So this is like a rocker. You can push it up or down. Hadn't noticed before that screw actually goes through the pivot point, which is interesting. I mean, that screw's turning when you use the rocker? I mean, it doesn't go very far, but it's interesting. And then basically what presses the buttons is this thin section here fits in between these two buttons here. And then there's also the two on the top here are some little round buttons up there, but that's kind of cool. Okay. Out. We'll not make it very far through this page. We got only a couple minutes left. So if there's any other questions or comments or anything else, now's a good time to get them in. Otherwise, I'll wrap up here pretty soon, and then I will be continuing to work on this. Oh, you know what? Let me check in. Let me check in back here. Nothing new yet, and it hasn't made it back to... the device that failed. After my latest push yesterday, one device overflowed. So I went back and disabled a thing. Made it back to there. But yeah. Keeping an eye on this, though, for reviews today. Well. So I'll go through and make a similar table like this and highlights to show the different components as well. There's not really too much going on this one, I will say. I mean, there's 2 audio devices instead of 1, because one audio device drives the headphone jack and one drives the speaker. So NRF 52840 is there. Cirrus, I think that's the CS. Yeah, Cirrus CS42L42 is down here. I have a photo somewhere where it's more centered. So this one drives the 3.5mm jack, and then the other one is, I think, this chip. It's a little harder to see. I do think I got a capture of it somewhere, though. There we go. TAS 2505 is that one. That's another audio device, and it drives the speaker. That one does. The speaker, which, by the way, is a weird, like, I don't recall ever seeing a speaker like this. I presume this device here is the speaker, but it's kind of enclosed in this whole can thing. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but that's definitely where the sound comes from. That general vicinity. But maybe there's a more normal thing just tucked up inside there. So pinouts page will include the highlights and the breakdown of what pins are connected to which chips and all that stuff, just like it did for the Ting over here. But that is about going to do it for the day. Yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. As mentioned at the top, Adafruit.com, you can head there, get yourself some hardware if you would like to help support Adafruit and the open source software that they support by paying people like me. Yeah, product pick still, yeah, might be coming up later today, but again, I'm unsure on the time exactly, if that's at the usual time today or if it's moving or what the schedule is going to be for that. But product pick is an excellent opportunity to not only support Adafruit, but get yourself a wonderful discount in doing so. Get whatever product JP has chosen for the week at a nice little discount during the live stream. So stay tuned for that. I think that is all for now, so I will bid you farewell so long. Thank you all for hanging out. I do hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and week, and until next time, I will see you later. Take it easy, Netventive over in the YouTube. You have a good day as well, and so long, farewell.